So Rahil ada masalah macam hari tu ke? Masih perlukan PDF ke?
Ya cikgu, dia
Alright.
masih lagi tak stabil.
Masih lagi tak stabil ya. Okay, no worries. Okay, kita terus pergi the first slide dulu. Okay, sementara kita tunggu, sementara kamu tunggu saya uruskan nota untuk Rahil ni, cuba tengok slide yang pertama and complete the first box. Hari ni kita akan masuk respiratory systems in humans and animals. Untuk soalan hari tu, okay. Okay, untuk soalan hari tu, semalam yalah semalam most of you dalam reflection tanya mengenai fermentation of alcohol. Saya masih lagi mencari diagram yang sesuai. Nanti I think Monday kita ada kelas kan? Kelas malam tak silap saya. Monday saya akan address balik mengenai alcohol fermentation tu ya. Yes, Monday kita ada kelas. So, Monday saya akan address pasal alcohol fermentation seperti yang ditanyakan dalam reflection semalam. Sementara tu, okay. Sementara tu, sila lengkapkan diagram yang pertama ni sebentar. Okay, let me see. Notes untuk Rahil ya. Today's notes saya bagi dalam bentuk PDF. Okay. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the first slide. Sekejap ya, saya lampirkan pada Rahil. Okay. PDF version ya. Okay. Alright. Okay, nanti check out your personal message. Okay, dalam Google Meet sekarang ni sudah ada 7 orang. Okay, except for Rahil, dia tak boleh nak masuk. So, ada 6 orang dalam ni. Alright, good. So, let's take a look at the first term that we have to discuss for this particular chapter. Okay, untuk sebelum ni kita belajar cellular respiration pada peringkat sel. Sekarang kita nak tengok respiratory systems in humans and animals. So when we talk about respiratory structure tu benda apa? It is a surface that enable gaseous exchange to occur between the cells and the outer environment. Okay, between the cells and the outer environment. When we talk about respiratory surface, there is a major difference. Ada perbezaan yang besar when we compare unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Basically ini adalah pengulangan kepada topik form 3 sebenarnya ya. Masa form 3 kita dah belajar. So we talk about total surface area per volume ratio. Okay, we talk about total surface area per volume ratio, where the bigger the ratio, the easier for exchange of gases to occur. The smaller the ratio, the harder it is to conduct exchange of gases. Therefore, multicellular organisms macam kita, gajah, certain types of algae, fungi, certain types of cendawan requires a special respiratory structure to maintain gaseous exchange. Okay. So anak-anak, macam mana kita boleh tahu, okay, anak-anak macam mana kita boleh tahu total surface area per volume ratio ni mempengaruhi exchange of gases. Okay. So kita buat sedikit calculation. let's do a bit of calculation to better understand the effects of number of cells towards total surface area per volume ratio. So for example, I have 3 blocks here. So for the criteria, which block represents unicellular organism, which block represents multicellular organism, can you calculate the total surface area? Can you calculate the volume of each cube? And finally, can you calculate the surface area to volume ratio? Apakah dia? Okay. Okay, test. Alright. Total surface area per volume ratio. Okay. So criteria tu, what does each cube represent? Does it represent unicellular organism or multicellular organism? Can you calculate the total surface area for each cube? What is the volume? And finally, when you divided the two, you will obtain the surface area to volume ratio. Okay, first row dah settle. Dah identify mana unicellular, mana multicellular. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Can you calculate? Okay, surface area ramai dah settle. Let's take a look. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Sekarang ni surface area dia. Okay, mari kita tengok satu persatu. Total surface area dia untuk okay, this one is yang saya tengah pamerkan dalam Google Meet sekarang. Jawapan daripada Najwa ni is the correct one, ya. So the total surface area for the biggest cube is 54 cm squared. For the middle cube is 24 cm squared. And yang small cube tu ada silap sikit kot. Tak darab 6. Najwa kena darab 6 kan? Surface area. 1 cm squared kali 6 untuk surface area. Surface area, Najwa betulkan sikit lagi. Okay, surface area dia ialah 6 cm squared for the small one. Yang lain semua betul. Volume kan 1 kali 1 kan. 1 times 1 times 1. So, volume is 1 cm squared. 6 tu tukar ke atas Najwa. Pandai Najwa. Sikit lagi. Okay, good. Okay, untuk surface area, okay. 54 divided by 9 is 50. Bukan. Sorry. Volume tu. Okay. Tak apa. Okay, sekarang ni surface area dah betul ya. 54, 24 and 6. Now, let's take a look at volume. Okay, volume. Volume. Volume kan the biggest one, the is 3 times 3 times 3 kan? 3 times 3 times 3 panjang, darat lebar, darat tinggi. So that is the volume. Okay, so volume for the first one is volume for the first one. Belum lagi, tak mencapai lagi ni. Tak ada yang mencapai. Okay, yes. Seorang dah dapat dah. Okay, ini jawapan daripada Widat ya. So the first one, Widat dapat the volume is 27 cm cube. And then the second one is 8 cm cube. And the smallest one is 1 cm cube. Bagus Widat. Teruskan. Bila bahagi dapat berapa Widat? Okay, 54 bahagi 27 dapat 2 kan? Sebab 27 tambah 27 ialah 54. Alright, good. So, dia tak ada unit, just tulis 2 saja. Okay, and then next ratio 24 divided by 8 kan? Berapa ya? 3, good. And then 6 divided by 1 is okay, 6 divided by 1 is 6. Okay, very good. Thank you, Widat. Good job. Okay, so anak-anak, as you can see here, as I mentioned before dalam slide sebelum ni kan, slide sebelum ni kita semua hafal pernyataan tu dari kita form 3 lagi. Kita kata unicellular organism has a high total surface area per volume ratio compared to multicellular organism. Nah, inilah buktinya anak-anak. When we calculate the total surface area per volume ratio for 1 cube, the ratio is 6. As the size of the cube increases, we can see the ratio started to become smaller. So as the ratio becomes smaller, the organism needs to have a specific, a dedicated structure to obtain materials from the environment and transport it into the cells. Disebabkan tidak semua sel dalam multicellular organism ini terdedah kepada persekitaran. Nampak? Ada part yang tidak terdedah untuk cube tengah dan cube paling kiri. Therefore, cube ini kalau nak dapat oksigen daripada luar, kena ada dedicated system, iaitu kita punya blood circulatory system, respiratory system that transport substances from the environment into the cells and to transport atau excrete substances from the cell out to the environment. Untuk unicellular organism tak ada masalah. Seluruh permukaan dia terdedah kepada persekitaran. So dia nak keluarkan mana-mana pun boleh. Nak keluar ke atas boleh, ke bawah boleh, ke kiri boleh, ke kanan boleh dan sebagainya. Okay, so everyone has completed their submissions. Very good. Now, let's take a look at, this is a bit of a review. Last year, when we talk about respiratory structures, in general, kita discuss about insect, humans, frog, and also fishes. Okay, so can you identify the 3 criteria of respiratory structures and what are the functions or how the criteria assist in respiration? For example, okay, the first criteria is tak kisahlah respiratory structure tu dekat gills ke, dekat alveoli ke, dekat tracheal ke, kesemua respiratory structure ni is very thin, only one cell thick. What is the benefit of having only a very thin structure? Apakah fungsi dia? Apakah benefit dia? Can you complete this particular table? Okay. Okay, yes, I can see your submissions. You are on the right track. Mari kita tengok ya. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay. Let's see here a sample answer. Okay, a sample answer. Okay, ini contoh. Okay, this is Alia's idea. A thin respiratory structure, which is only one cell thick, one thick cell. Saya terbaik one cell thick. Allows gases to diffuse in and out of the cell. Good. I agree with your answer. Okay, sama juga dengan Atira. Okay, Atira's idea is also allow diffusion of respiratory gases for the description on how the thin respiratory structure assists in respiration. Another idea from Atira is dia mencadangkan all respiratory structures are moist. Okay, so it enables respiratory gases to dissolve through the moisture and then into the respiratory structure. Okay, saya setuju. And then finally, Atira juga idea dia ialah the surface of respiratory structure except for insect except for insect dia tak ada blood circulatory system. Except for insect, all respiratory structure is covered by a network of blood capillaries that enables the efficient delivery of respiratory gases. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Okay, saya screenshot satu sampel and then I place it inside the Telegram for you to refer later. Okay, so let's see. Tak semestinya mesti follow macam Widat tulis ni, Widat pula Atira tulis ni ya. Ada juga idea-idea lain yang boleh diterima pakai. Okay, bagaimana pula dengan Roshan? What do you think? What do you think? Macam mana dengan okay, okay, Alia kata moist skin eases diffusion. Okay, tambah sikit. Eases diffusion of what? Eases diffusion of respiratory gases. Baru cantik sikit jawapan tu. But you are on the right track. Bagus. Okay, okay, jawapan Nisa adalah lebih kurang macam jawapan Atirah tadi. Good. Okey, jawapan Najwa pun sama, lebih kurang sama. Begitu juga dengan uh, Widat. Cuma Widat dia tulis pasal network of blood capillary dulu, baru cerita pasal moist surface. So, okay Rosha, are you okay? Can you follow? Ada masalah internet ke Rosha? Boleh tulis dekat kamu punya slide tu if you have problem I can read your feedback. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the first and the most, nak kata apa ya, in previous discussion in Form 3, yang paling simple exchange of gases ni kita tengok dalam unicellular organism, and we have also discussed exchange of gases in amoeba and paramecium when we discuss about chapter 2 hari tu. Macam mana amoeba dengan paramecium conduct exchange of gases, exchange of nutrient, macam ni dia makan, macam ni dia reproduce. So that is the most primitive respiratory structure. The next one is a bit complex compared to the unicellular organism, which is the tracheal system in the that can be found in insect. Ini adalah sistem trachea atau tracheal system. Okey anak-anak, dalam rajah ni dia dah label trachea and then there is a yellow box on top there. Can you describe the adaptation of trachea in the yellow box? Can you describe the adaptation of tracheole in another yellow box on the right side? And then at the bottom, the label kat situ spiracle. Can you explain the adaptation of spiracle? And also the adaptation of body cells. Okay, adaptation of body cells. So, sama macam tadi, kita ubahlah organism mana pun, we will always take a look at dekat mana yang thin surface, dekat mana yang moist, dekat mana yang covered by network of blood capillary. Okay, for this particular structure tak adalah sebab kita tahu insect does not have blood circulatory system, but the gases diffuse directly to the cells. Dia beza sikit lah. So it is a bit primitive compared to the other organisms yang kita discuss nanti. Okay. Now, let's take a look at your submissions. Um, Mungkin dalam textbook adaptation of spiracle ni adaptation of spiracle yang saya akan sebut ni, it is located a bit further in the chapter when we discuss about mechanism of gases exchange in insect. Tapi one of the adaptation of spiracles, it has each spiracles ada valve, ada injap. Okay, so you may add it to your answer. Yeah, spiracles have valve that controls the opening and closing of spiracle tu lah. Okay, so spiracles have valves that control the opening and closing. Bila saya baca tadi, I think when we discuss about mechanism of gas exchange tu barulah fungsi valve ni ditekankan. So you may add now, boleh tambah sekarang pun tak apa, because it is an adaptation of respiratory structure kan. Okay, so that is another function of spiracle is it allows the intake of air into the tracheal system. Sebab dia ada valve lah. So valve that control the opening and closing that allows intake of air into the air tube system. Very good. Okay, and then another one yang yang dilabelkan dekat situ yang kita dah bagi, for big insects such as grasshopper, they have air sacs. So air sacs ni function dia lebih kurang macam jantung lah. Dia pump udara, pump the air that move inside the tracheal system so that the air move faster or at higher pressure so that it can reach, boleh sampai. Bila dipump tu boleh sampai ke body cell, bila dipump tu dari body cell boleh sampai ke keluar ke spiracle balik. So kenapa ada banyak insect? Sebab insect dia tak ada jantung, dia tak ada circulatory system. All the gases, all oxygen yang masuk melalui spiracle terus pergi ke sel, tak ada pengantara dah. Okay, tak perlu masuk ke dalam darah combine with red blood cell, tak ada, cerita tu tak ada. So that is about spiracle. Okay, kita tengok bahagian atas pula, the adaptation of trachea. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. Rosham, okay, I understand you are on the right track. You said that trachea branches out to form final tube. Very good. Apakah nama final tube tu ya, Rosham? Boleh tambah tak? What is the name of the final tube? Okay, itu nombor 1 untuk trachea. And then Rosham juga mencadangkan, since the number of tracheoles, nanti tambah ya, since there is a large number of tracheole, so it provide a large total surface area for exchange of gases. Okay, so kena tambah sikit macam mana nak capai large total surface area tu, because it is very fine, the combination of being very fine, very small and large number, kombinasi bilangan yang banyak dan sangat halus provide a large total surface area for the exchange of gases. Tracheole ni anak-anak ada, untuk mencapai large total surface area ada 2 ciri ya. Saya ulang sebab belum ada ada quite a few of you tak tambah lagi. Tracheoles ni anak-anak dia ada ada 2 ciri yang membolehkan it provide a large total surface area. Number 1 is very fine. Number 2 it is in large number. Okay, so total surface area tu masih lagi adalah description of function. Kita masih belum cakap pasal adaptation. So adaptation dia ialah banyak dan halus. Okay, and then let's take a look at body cells. Okay, so bukan body cells ya, bulat kecil kat bawah tu tempat bertemu tracheole dengan body cells tu. Okay, tempat bertemu tracheole dengan body cells tu, apa yang ada dekat hujung tu? Okay, here is a sample answer. Okay. Here is a sample answer from Najwa. Okay, cadangan Najwa ialah the tip of the tracheal, has a very thin wall. Okay, hujung tracheal tu dia punya dinding sangat nipis. And it is moist. So the combination of very thin and the presence of moisture over there allows oxygen gas to diffuse into the cells while carbon dioxide quickly diffuses out of the cells. Very good. I agree with you. Um, you are apa? Your description is quite good. Okay. Teruskan. Okay, saya screenshot a few sample answers ya. Okay. Saya screenshot a few sample answers so you may refer to it later. Okay, another one. Um, okay. So another one here. Alright anak-anak, good job. So bila kita cerita pasal adaptation, kita sentiasa cerita what is the name of the structure, what is the characteristic and what is the function. Name, characteristic, function macam tu ya. So name, tracheal. Characteristic, very fine. Function, large total surface area. Name of structure, spherical. Have characteristic, have valve. Function, to control the opening and closing atau to control the movement, the intake of air into the insect body. Okay, so itu tertib cara kita nak explain. Okay, sekarang ni kita pergi ke haiwan yang lebih kompleks iaitu ikang. Okay, cuba tengok ikang ni. So, okay, as you complete this particular diagram, I would like to take I would like to have request your attention on the structure of the fish head, okay, bahagian kepala ikan. So dia punya pipi ikan tu kita panggil operculum. And inside the operculum, bila kita buka pipi ikan, di bawahnya kita jumpa insang atau gills. So the gills have have several layers and we can see at each gill ada berus-berus halus yang kita panggil sebagai gill filament. And the gill filament, when you observe under the microscope, they are bumps. Ada bumps, ada banyak bonggol-bonggol pada permukaan gill filament. The bumps are known as lamella. Satu lamella, plural lamellae. So ada E kat hujung tu ya. Alright. So can you uh, add the characteristic and the function? Saya dah nyatakan dekat situ what is the name of the structure. Can you provide the characteristic and the function? Okay. Oh, Alhamdulillah. You have almost finished all the apa all the description. Okay, saya setuju. Okay, saya setuju. Uh, okay, ada dua cara untuk cerita pasal filamen. Okay, so there are two adaptations of filaments. Number one, it is very thin and it is large in number. So, sekejap ya, ada satu jawapan kat sini. And okay. And then okay ya. So ini dua saya buat sebelah-sebelah macam ni. Okay, ini dua cadangan jawapan. Okay, sekejap ya, saya besarkan skrin ni. Okay, dua cadangan jawapan ni saya nak tunjukkan ada dua cara untuk cerita adaptations of filaments. So the filaments is large in number sebab dia very fine brushes kan, quote unquote brushes ya. Okay, very fine, it is very thin, very fine, sangat halus, and it is numerous, ada banyak. So we can argue that filaments has a large total surface area for efficient gases exchange process. However, we can also see on the filament surface, there are also thin and flat projections called lamella. So the existence of lamella also increase total surface area for exchange of gases. So Alia boleh tambah tak pada jawapan kamu tu, has many thin and flat projections called lamella to increase total surface area for gases exchange. Sebab Alia dah nyatakan dekat situ adaptation dia, what is the function, kena tambah sikit ya. Increase total surface area for exchange of gases. Pandai, hebat, bagus. Okay. Okay, untuk lamella membrane, both girls have the same idea. Sebab gills ni warna merah, sebab ada banyak blood capillaries kan. So the the continuous supply of blood through the blood capillaries enable transport and absorption of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Bagus. Okay, you are on the right track. And then last kali ialah the function of gill arcs, which is to support the gill. Okay. Kenapa support the gill? Okay, dia punya function ialah to enable maximum to expose maximum surface area for gases exchange. Okay, itu peranan gill arch ya. Karakteristik dia, peranan dia ialah to support filament, to enable maximum exposure of filaments for gaseous exchange. Okay, boleh tambah kat situ. Okay, two sample answers here. You may refer to it later. Okay. Atira dia tambah bony skeleton. Oh, bony skeleton tu boleh tambah tak ada masalah Atira. Betul tu. Bony skeleton that support the gills to expose many surface area for gases exchange. Bagus. Bagus Atira. Teruskan. Okay, let's see here. Okay, alright, semua dah update dia punya boxes ya. Okay, nanti apa? Okay, tinggal lagi seorang saja lagi nak update pasal gill arch tu. Okay, for the next one. Okay, the next one kita akan tengok katak. So untuk katak ni apa kita kita take a break untuk katak ni tak ada kena fill in the blanks ya. Okay, tambah sikit to support the filament. Okay. Alright, kita tunggu sekejap. Ada seorang kawan kita. Okay, good. Okay, dah cukup tu. Okay, kita pergi ke katak. Okay, dekat gambar katak ni, I will provide you the ability to draw in case you want to highlight important points lah. Tapi tak ada apa-apa soalan saya nak tanya kat sini. I will explain to you. Masa kita form 3, we discuss about how the frog uses skin for exchange of gases. How the frogs uses skin as one of the main respiratory structures. So kita tahu the characteristic of thin, moist sebab ada mucus on the surface of the frog skin, and right underneath the frog skin there are many blood capillaries that enables transport of respiratory gases. So exchange of gases tu berlaku dengan cepat lah. So ini yang kita belajar masa form 3. Sekarang ni masa kita form 4, kita tambah lagi another respiratory structure. As you can see here, as opposed to our lungs, kita punya lungs dia bulat-bulat macam anggur kan, alveoli tu. Tapi for the lungs of frogs, the surface of the lungs is compartmentalized. Dia ada banyak kompartmen-kompartmen macam kamu tengok dekat dalam diagram tu. So compartmentalized atau dalam tu folded. Okay, folded pun betul. So whenever we see a folded structure dalam mana-mana organism, folded tu biasanya is the adaptation to increase total surface area. Okay, kita punya brain pun folded. Malahan lagi banyak kita berfikir, lagi kita belajar, lagi banyak folding pada kita punya brain. So, to increase total surface area so that different neurons in our brain connected with each other. Sebab itulah bila kita belajar, kita mesti cuba relate dengan apa yang kita sedia tahu. Sekarang kita sedia tahu skin, kita relate pula 3 ciri-ciri skin tu dengan 3 ciri-ciri dekat lungs. So dekat mana dia ada ciri-ciri thin? Thin tu sebab the membrane of the lungs is very thin that enables atau facilitate diffusion of respiratory gases. Surface of the lungs is moist. Sama juga macam kita punya alveoli. Whenever a surface is moist, gases atau chemical substance senang nak dissolve pada the structure. Okay, and then of course kita nampak lungs ni warna merah sebab it is covered with blood capillaries to increase transport of respiratory gases. So katak ni dia it is adaptable to live in the water and also in the land, but not in an optimum way. Dia tidak optimum untuk tinggal dekat daratan sebab kalau dia jauh daripada kolam, dia jauh daripada moisture, nanti kulit dia kering, dia akan mati sebab skin dah tak boleh berfungsi sebagai respiratory structure. Tapi dia juga tak boleh duduk dalam air saja sebab lungs cannot support the respiration process. That is why whenever there is a change environment, a good indicator is the population of frogs. Kalau ada berlaku perubahan dari segi peningkatan suhu ke, lack of moisture ke, atau peningkatan pH on the on any aquatic habitat, kita check out the frog population first. Kalau frog population decreases exponentially, something wrong dengan environment tersebut. Okay, just additional info. Okay, last kali ini senang saja. Ini kita punya respiratory structure. So, can you describe the various adaptations in terms of number of alveoli? Okay, apa adaptation in terms of number of alveoli? Apa adaptation in terms of the wall of alveoli? Number 3 tu saya dah bagi. And then apakah adaptation in terms of blood capillaries?
Excuse me, cikgu.
Ya saya, ya saya.
Cikgu tengah cakap ke tadi?
Oh tak. Okey,
Okay.
saya tengah contact Sarah. Sorry. Okey. Sorry sebab saya baru perasan Sarah tak ada. Okey. Anak-anak, for this particular question, saya tersilap ya, bukan one similarity ya. State any similarities and any differences between the two organisms. Maka ada 6 sebab any combinations is good as long as you provide both. Katalah 3 similarities, 3 differences ke, atau 2 similarities, 4 differences ke, dan sebagainya lah. Okay. Okay, maka ada 6. So, bila 6, kena ada at least 6 sentences lah. Okay. Okay, saya tunjukkan kamu punya responses ya. Okay. Bila similarities, kamu cari similarities kan? Apa structures yang apa 3 karakteristik, at least 3 karakteristik kan? 3 karakteristik yang sama pada dua-dua atau any respiratory structure. Tukarlah binatang apa pun, mesti ada 3 karakteristik ni. Okay anak-anak. Okay. Sorry. I can see your submissions here. Okay. Okay. Agaknya apa? Widak ni dia idea dia apa laju dia tak laju. Nampak macam apa ada ada a few typo there. Mesti sebab idea dia tengah flowing dengan lancar sekali kan. Tak apa, I understand your submission Widak, tak ada masalah. It's okay. Sebab idea dia tengah flow tu. Okay, tak apa. Boleh. Okay. Okay, betul. Saya setuju. Both organisms have respiratory structures that have a large total surface area per volume ratio, atau kalau kamu sebut large total surface area pun boleh, tak ada masalah ya. Both organisms have respiratory structures that has large total surface area. Kedua-dua organisma jumlah luas permukaan dia besar. Okay. Alright, now let's take a look at similarities yang lain kalau ada. Okay, Kalau kamu nak cakap pasal blood capillary, sayangku, insect dia tak ada blood capillary ya. So that would be the difference. Kan? Difference dia ialah exchange of gases between respiratory structure in humans and the body cells requires blood cells, but for insects, exchange of gases occurs directly from respiratory structure to the cells. Okay? Kena apa? Nak kata apa tadi? Itu dia punya difference ya. Insect dia tak ada darah, dia tak ada circulatory system. Therefore, the exchange of gases between respiratory structure is directly to the cells. Tapi dalam human, dia ada red blood cell as an intermediate. So saya akan baca ayat kamu. Apa-apa ayat yang menunjukkan untuk manusia ni pengantara dia untuk transport gases ni ialah darah. Untuk apa nama dia, untuk insect tak ada ya, direct to the cells. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, ada yang cakap similarities dia adalah moist ya. Okay, sekejap. Okay, good. Both respiratory structures are moist to allow respiratory gases to easily diffuse in them. Bagus. Bagus, Nisa. That is a good answer. That is a good similarity. Okay, Nisa dia terus bagi similarity yang tiga-tiga karakteristik yang ada pada semua respiratory structure. Nisa mulakan dengan menyatakan similarity pertama, large total surface area to volume ratio. Both respiratory structures are thin to hasten the diffusion of gases. And number 3, both respiratory structures are moist to allow easy diffusion of respiratory gases. Okay, cukup 3. Nisa dah terus fokus kepada differences. So, okay. Kalau kamu nak banding air-sac ya, untuk differences in structure, kamu boleh kata insect ada air-sac, humans tak ada air-sac. Kena sebut dua-dua ya. Kalau nak compare blood capillaries, kamu boleh kata insect tak ada large network of blood capillaries, humans ada large network of blood capillaries at the respiratory structure. Itu baru perbezaan yang setara, okey? Okey, dia dah 5 point dah tu, tinggal lagi 1. Okay, the next one. Okay, similarity pertama ada, similarity kedua ada. Okay, sekejap. Okay, untuk Najwa, I can see you have 2 similarities here, and then you proceed to mention that for insect, thin tracheal, human, thin alveolus, difference 1. So point number 3, blood capillaries. Okay, kamu kata insect ada blood capillary, human tak ada blood capillary. Okay, baru ada 4 pointnya kat sini, tak habis lagi, kena tambah lagi 2 ya Najwa. Okay, tambah lagi 2 perbezaan. Okay, Widat pula. Similarity 1. Ayat kedua Widat tu macam nak cakap differences, tapi ayat tu tak nampak macam differences. Sebab ayat kedua Widat tu, next the respiratory structure is complete with network of blood capillaries kan. Macam seolah-olah kamu compare semua organism, ikan campur katak, compare dengan insect. So tweak sikit ayat tu, tapi point tu betul dah. Okay, tweak sikit ayat tu. Direct. Human ada apa? Insect ada apa? Cukup. Okay. Point number 2 dia dah ada. Okay, similarity. Okay. So, ayat kedua macam difference, ayat ketiga macam similarities. Cadangan saya ialah kamu sekalikan semua sekali. Widat. Nak cerita similarity sampai habis. Tapi tak apa, tak salah. Betul-betul dapat dah tiga markah kat sini. While human does not have air sacs, tambah. Okay. Point number 5. Ya. Air sacs tu tambah ya. Edit. While human does not have air sacs. Network of blood capillaries. Okay, cukup dapat 6 points. Kalau edit sikit ayat-ayat atas tu ya. Okay, let's take a look at Atira. Okay anak-anak, siapa yang saya dah semak ni, saya tukarkan paddock ni kepada student pace. You are welcome to move to slide 12. Ada gambar katak hitam, ada soalan gambar katak hitam ya. Siapa yang saya dah semak tadi, Widat, Najwa, Nisa, you can move on to slide 12. Jawab soalan katak tu ya. Itu soalan kebat. Okay. Okay, let's see Atira punya pula. 1, 2. Okay, 2 similarities. 3. Okay, difference number 4. Okay, baru ada 4 point ya. Tambah lagi 2. Atira, sikit lagi. Okay, Alia pula. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Alia, untuk sebab gambar ni kan Alia, dia bagi gambar insect tau. So ayat yang point yang keempat, kamu kata meanwhile, respiratory structure for animals are tracheal, filament and lamella or skin and lungs. Tukar, fokus kepada gambar insect tu saja. So the respiratory structure for insect is tracheal, while humans are alveoli. Okay, Kodak dah dapat dah markah keempat tu. Okay, Alia, soalan ni kita fokus kepada insect versus human. So fokus kepada ciri insect, ciri human. Okay, Kodak dah dapat dah point keempat. So point yang kelima dan seterusnya tu, okay, point yang akhir tu insect has asset while humans do not tu dah dapat dah point yang kelima. Lagi satu difference Alia. Okay, Atira. Okay, you are on the way, nak bagi cukup. Okay, teruskan. Okay, Rosham pula. 1. Okay, Rosham, bila kamu sebut difference, okay, you have a good idea there. The difference, insect have large number of tracheal. Bagi tahu human ada apa? Human ada large number of alveoli. Kan? Tambah sikit kat situ, baru lengkap perbezaan tu ya. Kita compare, insect ada tracheal, human ada alveoli. Okay. Kemudian ayat yang terakhir tu untuk fish, kita tak boleh cerita fish kat sini sebab gambar tu, dia suruh gambar tu tujuan dia untuk minta student fokus kepada insect dan juga human. Okay. Okay. Saya tengok jawapan tadi, I think you have complete kot. Okay, Atira punya complete. Boleh terus pergi ke next question. Apa question kata? Okay. Okay. So, untuk Rosham, tambah lagi. Apa perbezaan lagi yang kita boleh nampak? In terms of blood capillary, siapa ada blood capillary? Siapa tak ada blood capillary? For example. Untuk Alia, sekejap ya. 1, saya dah lupa dah tadi. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Point number 4 dengan point number 5 saya kira sama. Sebab kamu compare insect ada tracheal, humans ada alveoli. So saya kira sama ya. So you only got 4 and 5. Insect also has asset while humans do not. You may include cadangan saya untuk Roshan dengan Alia, boleh juga include presence of blood capillary. Humans have respiratory structure atau alveoli is surrounded by blood capillary. Trachea is not surrounded by blood capillary, kan? Okay, apa lagi difference yang kita boleh bagi? Okay, kita juga boleh bandingkan dari segi dekat mana udara masuk, kan? Untuk human, udara masuk melalui nostril. The air enters the system through nostril or through trachea. Tapi nostril lah, nostril, sorry. Air enters the human respiratory system through nostril, whereas in insect, the air enters through spiracle, kan? Kita banding hidung versus spiracle. Kemudian kita cakap pasal valve kan tadi dekat spiracle. So the spiracle has valve, but our nose does not have valve. Okay, cukup dah tu. Dah dapat dah difference tambahan. Okay, boleh tambah. Udara masuk ikut, air enters through the nose for human. Air enters through the spiracle for insect. Okay. And then while we are in the topic of spiracle, kita boleh kata nose atau nasal cavity does not have valve. Spiracle ada valve. Okay anak-anak, very good. Okay, mari kita pergi ke slide katak hitam ni. Kita pergi ke slide katak hitam ni ya. Okay, semua orang berpindah ke sini. Okay, untuk katak hitam ni, gambar ni menunjukkan a frog covered in oil sits on the plant in an oil contaminated swamp in El Reventador, east of Quito, Ecuador. Ini memang real life case ya pasal oil spill di kawasan Paya Bakau. So can you explain the effects of oil pollution on the frog's respiration? Tadi kita tahu, kita discuss pasal respiratory structure, adaptation and function when in a frog. So sekarang ni apa yang tidak boleh berlaku? Kita punya jawapan dalam bentuk negatif. Apa yang tidak boleh berlaku, tidak boleh berlaku, tidak boleh berlaku disebabkan oleh oil pollution ni. Okay, so kita negatifkan jawapan kita. So in a sense, we are providing a negative answer, keadaan yang negatif. Okay, saya buat macam ni lah. Baru nampak jawapan semua orang. Okay, sekejap Okay, I want to change it to here. Okay. Saya setuju approach yang Najwa guna. Najwa terus cut to the chase, kata the frog cannot will not be able to carry out gaseous exchange. Point one dah dapat. Sama juga dengan Nisa. I like the way you start. Frog cannot carry out gaseous exchange. Okay. Widat pula approach dia ialah dia nyatakan dulu sebab. Okay, saya setuju juga. Widat kata oil covers the frog skin. The skin will be less moist. Interfere with the dissolution atau interfere in apa prevent the respiratory gases to dissolve in it. So the frog cannot conduct gaseous exchange effectively. Okay. Sekejap kita tengok jawapan Widat tu boleh dapat 3. Jawapan Nisa boleh dapat 3. Bagaimana pula dengan jawapan Najwa tadi? 1, 2. Okey, dapat 3. So anak-anak, walaupun dia kan soalan dia kata kesan oil pollution towards frog's respiratory system. So bila kamu nyatakan oil cover the skin, dah dapat markah kat situ. Kenapa boleh dapat markah? Sebab there is no statement in the question kata oil cover the skin. Oil cover the skin tu kita nampak dalam diagram. So kita state the obvious lah. That is how soalan KBAT works. Usually apa yang tersirat daripada soalan atau daripada diagram tu, bila kita nyatakan boleh dapat markah. Sama juga kalau dia bagi unknown. Dia kata proses X ke, proses Y ke. So give a name to the unknowns. Usually it is also a part of your answer. Okay, Widat tadi 3, Nisa tadi dah 3, Najwa tadi pun dah 3. Okay, Roshan pula. Okay, its body becomes slippery. Sekejap. Frog cannot exchange gases, point 1. Oil surround its body, point 2. Point 3, slippery. Macam mana dengan slippery tu ganggu pula exchange of gases? Cuba specify lagi. Macam mana? Apa kaitan slippery tu ya? Within the context of exchange of gases. Slippery. Kalau kita upgrade sikit kata instead of body become slippery, kita kata gases cannot dissolve. Gases cannot dissolve into the dissolve pula, diffuse. Ya Allah, patutlah rasa lain. Gases cannot diffuse into the skin. Okay, dapat dah 3. Okay, bagaimana pula dengan jawapan Alia? Okay, Alia on the way. Okay, Atira pula. 1. Okay, Atira punya dapat 3 markah. Good. Okay, last kali. Okay, Alia. Tak apa, take your time. Don't worry. Untuk mereka yang dah siap, last kali untuk hari ni, kita masuk introduction sikit. Breathing mechanism for insects. So, can you move on to slide number 13? Okay, sedikit, apa nak kata ya, sedikit mukadimah mengenai breathing mechanism of insects. Can you complete the process? Sekejap ya. Okay, sekejap. Let me see. Okay, Alia. Okay, blockage boleh. 1. Difficult to conduct gaseous exchange. Oh, saya bersalah ya dalam hal ni. Sekejap ya. Bila saya buat gitu, gambar apa nama gambar apa grasshopper tu tidak bergerak ya. Okey, sekejap ya. Dalam Google Meet sekarang, saya tunjukkan gambar grasshopper tu bergerak kamu boleh nampak dia punya abdomen tu naik atas, turun bawah dan sebagainya. Okey. Dalam paddock dia tak bergerak. Dalam Google Meet dia bergerak ya. Boleh refer dekat situ. Okey, saya tunggu Alia jawab dulu sampai habis. Okey, Rosham. 1, 2, 3. Okey, Rosham dapat 3 markah. Good. Teruskan ke slide 13. 1, 2. Boleh Alia, okay? The fraud depends solely on the lungs to carry out respiratory of gases. Okay? Therefore tak cukup lah oxygen supplied to the frog's body. Betul tu Alia. Teruskan. Kita pergi ke slide 13 ya. Okay. Can you complete slide 13? Cuba tengok pada diagram. Okay, masa inhalation and exhalation. So warna oren tu ialah keadaan inhalation. Merah tu dia nak exhale. Okay, so finally the breathing mechanism of insects. Kita tak tengok breathing mechanism for unicellular organism sebab kita tahu dia basically buat simple diffusion saja kan. Okay, I agree with you all. During inhalation, abdominal muscle relax. Okay, will relax. Betul lah tu. Okay, abdominal muscle relax. Jadi air pressure in trachea decreases ke, reduces ke, pun boleh, tak ada masalah. So ini untuk inhalation ya. Abdominal muscle relax, air pressure reduce atau decreases, therefore air enters the trachea through spiracles. Okay, very good. Saya biarkan dulu dekat Google Meet ni gambar ni ya, supaya kamu boleh nampak gambar tu bergerak. Okay, bagaimana pula dengan exhalation? When during exhalation, abdominal muscle contract. Therefore, air pressure in the trachea will increase. Air flows out. Okay, air flows out atau exit the trachea through spiracle. Okay, air is forced out boleh, exit out boleh, exit out through the trachea. Okay, apa-apa indication yang menunjukkan udara keluar. So, dia punya main point kat sini ialah nak tunjukkan when abdominal muscle relax, volume, cuba kamu tengok pada gambar dalam Google Meet tu, volume inside the grasshopper increases, air pressure decreases. Sebab itulah udara daripada environment enters through the spiracle. But when we take a look at during exhalation, abdominal muscle contract, volume of the grasshopper's body decreases. Jadi air pressure increases. Therefore, air is forced out through spiracle. Itu yang gambar warna merah. Okay, kuning air masuk, merah air keluar. Okay anak-anak, saya berhenti takat ni dulu. Next Monday, we will take a look at the rest breathing mechanism. Okay, ada banyak breathing mechanism and also the rest of the content for chapter 8. So anak-anak, macam biasa, I would like to gain your feedback regarding today's class. Apa yang kamu suka pasal aktiviti kita pada hari ini? Apa yang kamu tak suka? Adakah saya cepat sangat ke? Macam mana? Okay, cepat sangat bagi tahu so that I will improve next class. Cuma soalan pasal alcohol fermentation tu saya simpan untuk Monday ya. Saya mencari diagram yang sesuai untuk membantu kamu memahami pasal pokok padi hari tu. Okey. Memang kat sekolah memang dah tengah belajar ni kan? Sekarang ni tengah belajar chapter yang ni kan?
tak masuk lagi teacher.
Ya
Baru
ke?
habis chapter 6.
Oh, baru habis chapter 6. So, adakah saya terlalu laju sebab this is the first time you exposed to this particular chapter? Okay ke? Boleh follow?
Okey je teacher, okey je.
Boleh. Alright ya, alright. Oh, saya risau saya terlaju sebab saya duk ingat macam kamu dah cover chapter ni. Okay, okay, okay. I will take that into account next class ya. Okay. Hmm. So anak-anak kan apa the main takeaway from here is bila kita nak cerita adaptation nanti kita sentiasa dia punya formula ialah name, characteristic, function. What is the name of the structure? What are the characteristic of the structure and what is the function of that particular structure? So bila diberikan soalan sesuatu berlaku pada structure tu, NCF tadi kita negatifkan. So contoh dia punya NCF untuk skin tadi ialah name is skin, characteristic is moist, the function is to provide to enable gases to dissolve through the skin directly to the blood capillary. So bila ada oil, moist tu dah tak ada. Okay, oil covered the body of the frog. It is no longer moist. Gases can no longer dissolve into the skin. So itu cara dia. Dia apa kita negatifkan apa yang kita dah belajar kan. Kita terbalikkan sebab dah berlaku masalah kan. Okay anak-anak, hopefully since you are exposed to this particular chapter a bit earlier compared to your school, I hope that it helps you to increase your understanding when you encounter this chapter in your school later. Alang kepalang kita pun continue lockdown sampai 14 Jun kan. So memang PDPR ni akan continue lah. So I guess tahun ni pun sama. Form 5 akan masuk sekolah dulu baru Form 4. So hopefully vaccination process ni akan cepat-cepat lah dan kita semua insyaAllah lebih selamat. So thank you so much for coming everyone. Thank you so much for your understanding.